Hey everyone, how are you guys doing tonight? It is Tuesday, March 10th. How is it March already? Well, it's been a pretty interesting couple of weeks, as I'm sure some of you guys have also kind of been dealing with this whole coronavirus thing and events being shut down. We've seen some major events go down. Something like South by Southwest has been canceled, which has impacted, I don't even know how many event professionals, but a lot of them, and quite a few photo booth people as well. There's been some other news like Coachella's been pushed back to October. Thankfully, it hasn't been canceled, but we're also seeing some of the smaller events now being canceled as well. So, New York, I've heard quite a few photo booth owners there have been talking about how their events have been pushed back all the way from April, May onwards because nobody really knows what's going to happen. So I kind of just wanted to talk to you guys about a little bit about how you can handle this. And, this is just kind of some best practices for you guys, maybe answering some questions you might have about contracts and retainers and refunds and how to handle them in such a unique situation, because this really isn't just, black and white. So a couple of like really easy things for you guys to do is obviously disinfect your booths, right? People are really scared about germs being passed around if they are actually going to events. There are some ways that you can definitely mitigate people from interacting with stuff. Get rid of props right now if you can, and just kind of say like, we're just not going to do props. And if you have, the ability to do maybe something that's a little bit more fun, like have some interaction, maybe give them like cue cards on what they can do. If you have a queso, you have, your pose suggestions. So that's really great. And a great way to spin it is saying like, we don't have props, but you're going to see a lot of variety in your album. I don't know if you guys have ever done this test before, but man, you're hilarious. But when you actually take props away, your photo album like range is so much better than with props, because the props, really kind of create like a crutch for people, and they use that to create variety in their picture. But without the props, you really do see like facial expressions and people like moving around the booth and trying different stuff. So it's a really nice way to spin that to people and just say we're not going to use props because we don't want to like have contamination and have people like sharing all this stuff. They put them near their lips and their eyes, and people are coughing and maybe not washing their hands all the time. So just take the props away and spin it that way, saying you're going to see more variety in your album anyway. So this is actually really great. Make sure that you tell people that your attendant is going to be the only person who's touching the screen, so that your guests don't actually have to touch the screen, and there's not going to be any spreading of germs that way. It's always helpful to do a little post of you like cleaning your booth, being like, hey, this is us kind of like cleaning our booth. But yeah, just make sure that you reiterate to everyone, just saying like, we're going to be the ones touching the screen, so that you guys don't have to interact and touch something that's potentially going to pass germs around. So those are just a couple of little things you can do. And if you do have physical props, guys, I really recommend that you take like Lysol wipes, anything. I mean, Costco's even wiping down their carts right now. So I would really stay away from using any type of digital or any type of physical props that you can have. So let's say that somebody wants to cancel. What do you do in this case? We all have our contracts, and it says that the retainer is non-refundable, and of course that is meant to solidify that date so that it doesn't get booked for anyone else. You're probably not going to be able to book that date because normally like you refund it if you could book the date again, but you're probably not going to be able to because all the events are being canceled right now. This is a really unique situation. I think you kind of have to look at everything like step by step. I definitely would keep our retainer, like the minimum retainer, but I would allow them to use that credit towards a future date within the next year. Make sure you put a time limit on that, because you don't want someone coming back to you like 5 years later and being like, hey, remember that birthday party that I never did because of coronavirus? Well, now I want to do like my wedding or something. It's like, it's been 5 years, our prices have gone up significantly, right? So make sure that you do put a time limit on that credit. If it is someone who has maybe paid for their entire event up front, I would kind of do the same thing. I would give them a credit so that they could use it towards an event in the next year, especially if they've done a lot of customization or anything like that. Like that is something that you've incurred a lot of costs for, especially if the event is only like maybe a week or two out. All your design and that kind of stuff is going to be things that you need to recuperate. But of course, there's going to be situations where people are going to come back to you and say, we actually have to cancel this event completely, and there's just no way for us to use this credit. And at that point, it's kind of, something you're going to have to do at your own discretion and see, does this person come to you often for events? Is this a relationship you want to keep happy? Maybe even post in the group and we can have a discussion about it, because I can't really give you a black and white answer on this since every single situation is going to be different. But I would definitely say, you want to be a little bit flexible with your cancellation contract right now, just because of how unique this situation is, and making sure that your clients are happy throughout this. It's already stressful enough that they had to cancel an entire event. Doesn't matter how big or small it is. They probably had people coming in. There's lots of retainers and stuff that they had to pay to other people who they probably aren't going to get back. So just be very conscious of that when you are dealing with people, but make sure that you stick to your contract, because at the end of the day, you are also have business expenses that you need to cover. That's really all I had in terms of some little quick tidbits for you guys on the whole coronavirus situation. And hopefully what we're going to see is that all these events that got canceled are just going to get rebooked in the summertime. So although we're probably going to see like a big dip in events right now, all those events are probably going to happen at a smaller scale, maybe a little bit later on down the road. So don't panic too much about it if you're seeing it right now. Now is also a really great time where you can focus on creating some marketing material, doing additional outreach and that kind of stuff to people, and just taking this time to really build on your business if you are getting a little bit of downtime due to coronavirus. If you guys have any questions that I can help you with, please feel free to drop them in the comments later on, and I will always be checking back here later to see if I can add anything else. Thanks guys, have a good night.